Hey, what's up? I'm Tracee Loran, creator of Black History Baddies, the digital series that celebrates Black women past and present who've done amazing, pioneering, trailblazing things. It has over 1.5 million views across all social media, and it's in its fifth season. Now, as I've said over and over again, there was not going to be a fifth season in 2025 anyway, because I was exhausted. And I was just like, you know what? I just really couldn't even find my creative spunk. It was just gone, I felt like. And then Doechii comes along and she's just so dope, such a creative force that it just inspired me to do something. And I wanted to do Black History Baddies differently this year. And so it stretched me outside of my comfort zone. And it just pushed me to do something new and fun. And I think that's what being an artist is about, doing things fun. And you got to switch it up. You got to switch it up. What I get a lot of compliments on and comments is my costuming for Black History Baddies. And I got to say, it's one of my favorite things too. I am methodical with my costuming. We talked a little bit about my wigs, showed you my wig collection, and I gave you a little bit of my process on how I storyboard, my live action storyboarding. I want to give you a little peek into my costuming process, how it works. I research my baddies. I see who I want to focus on for the season. A good mix of women, in different industries, because I don't want to have everyone from the same industry. Once I research them, then I'll start looking for images and looking for clothes that I feel like I can emulate, feel like I can find in my costume shops, aka my thrift stores. Sometimes it's super easy, right? And oftentimes I have to really search, and I often just really get blessed, man. I feel like God be wanting me to find some stuff because stuff just be coming, and it's so amazing. Now, sometimes the chicken comes before the egg or the cart before the horse or whatever that idiom is, because sometimes I'll find an outfit and I have not yet matched that outfit with a baddie. But it's just so dope that I can't pass it up. Like this year, You Need a Blackwell. I was not going to do You Need a Blackwell. I had another baddie that I was supposed to concentrate on this season, but I could not find the perfect costume for her. And I don't want to say who it is because I'm gonna do her hopefully next year. So then I decided that I wanted to do a baddie from Mississippi, and I went to my favorite costume shop, aka thrift store, that's in the cut. It's in the woods, in the country. And I'm looking for something. I'm looking for a shirt for Judge Jane Bolin, who was the first Black female judge in the country. Believe it or not, I could not find a cream colored button down blouse anywhere. I'm like, are people not wearing button down blouses? It was just the weirdest thing. I go to this thrift store specifically to find a cream button down shirt and a couple of other things. And I'm looking and I see this amazing blue double-breasted dress. And I'm like, I know I can use this. So I buy it, come home, start back doing my research on baddies from Mississippi. I come across Miss You Need a Blackwell. I'm like, oh, first Black female mayor of Mississippi, town called Mayersville. All right, I like her. I think this is going to be my baddie. So I start looking for pictures. What do I see? Yes, Miss You Need a Blackwell in a blue double-breasted dress. I was like, oh my goodness. I knew I made the right decision when I bought that dress. So that was great. So I got a chance to use that dress. And I think it's actually one of my favorites from the season. So all the other baddies for this year, they weren't that difficult. They were okay. But the one that gave me the most problems is Doechii. Why? Because Doechii's so dope. Everything's couture, all this beautiful designer stuff. And it's hard to find that kind of stuff specifically in my costume shops, aka thrift stores. Look, I knew that I wanted to do like two Doechiis, right? I wanted to do like Doechii, the rapper. And then I wanted to do Doechii like, the fashionista. The schoolgirl look was easy. I went to one of my costume shops and I found straight away, I found a uniform. Once I got the schoolgirl uniform and I found some shirts that will completely match. I just needed to find the perfect tie because we know Doechii loves her some ties. And y'all, I never knew ties were so popular in thrift stores. And so one of the thrift stores that I frequent, she led me to a big barrel of ties. Now, even with that big barrel of ties, I did not find the tie that I needed. So I went back to the thrift store in the woods, in the cut, where I found the Unita Blackwell dress, which wasn't her dress yet, but y'all remember the story. So I went back there. He had a lot of ties as well. And I was just going through all these ties, and voila, I said, this is it. This is it. I found this cute green paisley tie, which I thought was amazing. For Doechii, I also needed my Adidas, for Doechii. She likes herself some Adidas, so I got a pair of Adidas from a store, and I didn't know they were pink and green. I thought they were green and white with white stripes, and so I don't wear a lot of pink in my life, and so I said, I don't want to keep these, and they were like $90, so I did the good tape on the bottom, yes, tape on the bottom of the shoes so I wouldn't mess them up. And I sent those bad boys back. But I wanted my tie to match the shoes, and so I found the perfect tie. But my trouble was going to be her beautiful couture dress, because she's a fashionista. And so went to the same thrift store that had the big barrel of ties, picking. And I saw this dress, this formal dress. It had the typical dress. It had the satin kind of top bodice, and the bottom was the tulle. And I said, I think I can do something with this. So I grabbed it. Again, didn't yet have anything for it, but I just felt like in my spirit that I was going to be able to use that. And so lo and behold, I get home. I start looking back again for more Doechii images, because I had found one that I thought I was going to use. It was like this beautiful blue fur coat, and everything was blue. It was just great. I was like, I tried to replicate that, and I couldn't. But then I came across, she was honored. I think give her flowers or something like that. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. But she had on this gorgeous Christopher John Rogers dress, and tank top, and a long flowing floor length skirt, tulle skirt. Hey, I told y'all God be smiling on me sometimes. So I took that dress, I cut it up. My grandmother's personal care attendant, one of her personal care attendants, Linda, who's so sweet, she sewed a hem, she hemmed it up for me. And now the hard part was actually matching the tank top, because of course Christopher John Rogers tank top was like cute, super duper cute. I just could not find a tank top that had the black trim and that had the colors and stuff. But my grandma, who y'all know how I love me some Boss Grandma. Boss Grandma was an amazing seamstress back in her day. And so I went to her, she has like the old school sewing cabinet, I guess that's what it's called, I don't know. But I'm going through the drawers, and what do I find? I find this colorful ribbon, and I said, oh, I can do something with this. So I took it, and I was like, all right. Y'all, I took the shortcut. I was like, well, I can take this Velcro stuff and put it on the shirt, and mistake. I had the worst time filming that day. That thing kept falling off. I would look back, it would be in the middle of the field somewhere. Between that and the Doechii tape, it was just an awful day of filming. I wasted 7 hours putting this tape back on, putting the tape on my eyes, and putting the Velcro. It was horrible. So I just washed the day away and got back up the next day and said, you're gonna have to hand stitch that bad boy. So I did. I hand stitched the ribbon and figured out the whole tape situation, and it was a brilliant taping day. So lesson learned the hard way. I found a tank dress and got the ribbon that I found in my grandmother's drawer, but I still had the issue of the black trim. So what I did was I got a black tank top and I put it underneath and did it like a little peekaboo, not pinkaboo, peekaboo. And voila. I kind of like stitched it together so that it can seem like it was like together on the bottom. And I think it worked out great. What do y'all think? Let's take a look. So the costuming is just, it's just my favorite part. It's my favorite part. And it's so important for me to get the looks almost as exact as I can get them. And one last thing I want to tell y'all. Miss Gwendolyn Brooks and Miss Madeline Anderson. I discovered after filming the first day that their looks were too similar. So I had to go back and refilm Gwendolyn Brooks and actually put on the full suit. Initially, I only had on the top or the jacket, and then I wore like a black skirt because I felt like, oh, I didn't want to do matchy matchy. And then I realized, oh no, you got to do matchy matchy because the costume that Miss Madeline Anderson had on is too similar. So it drove me crazy. My friend Stacy was like, oh, it's okay. But I couldn't even sleep at night. I was like, nah, I got to reshoot that. And so I got a peak of sunshine, and I was waiting for the sun all day, all morning to come out. And so I would kind of just run every time the sun would come out because it was a cloudy day. So anyway, it's very important for me to get my costuming as exact as possible. The headscarf that I had on for Miss Madeline Anderson is actually a skirt. I took the skirt, I cut it up, and I made a head wrap. The same thing for Miss Wangari. It's a skirt. I didn't even cut it up. I just took this full skirt and I just put it and wrapped it around my head. I was like, yo, it had the right patterns to me that just was very like African inspired. And so that's kind of how I put my costumes together, y'all. It is, I like to find the perfect jewelry, the perfect shoes, hats, everything just has to be. I want to really do these women justice because they've done some incredible things. And so those that have gone on and that have become our ancestors now, they have family members. And one of their family members may come across one of my baddies. It actually happened twice. Well, Jane Kennedy is still with us. Jane Kennedy saw my baddie of Jane Kennedy, and she sent me a message that was just so amazing. But someone may see it, and so I want them to know that I am. If it's a family member, I want them to know that I admire their person, and I go through great lengths to make sure that I honor them in the best way that I can. And so it is nothing but admiration. And if I ever get anything off, it's not done purposely. I try with every fiber of my being to get it exactly right, or as close to exactly right as possible. I reshoot so many times, it hurts because I just can't bear to get something wrong. And this is really representing a person who really existed or continues to exist on this planet. So if you haven't seen Black History Baddies Doechii Edition, please check it out now. I'm Tracee Loran. I'll see you soon. Peace.